Hello, everyone, and welcome to HackerTV, our in-house podcast for Rajasthan's biggest hackathon, AceHack. और this time, जैसा कि आप सबको पता है, we are bringing the fourth edition of AceHack, AceHack 4.0, and हमारा इस बार का theme है Cyberpunk. And on very popular demand, we have reopened our registrations. तो इस बार ये opportunity miss ना करके जल्दी से जल्दी register कीजिए अगर पहले miss कर चुके हो तो. एंड दोस्तों अगर आपको कोई भी क्वेरीज या डाउट्स है रिगार्डिंग आवर रजिस्ट्रेशंस और एनीथिंग रिगार्डिंग AceHack, please join our Discord server and raise a ticket there. We will sort your problem out as soon as possible. And also follow us on social media so that you don't miss out on anything for this amazing 24-hour hackathon experience where you'll not only code and build, but also innovate, elevate, and transform your levels to the next year. I'm your host Biraj, and this is the 23rd episode of Hacker TV. Our guest today is a senior applied AI ML scientist at JPMorgan Chase, an AWS ML specialist, and also a tech speaker, Miss Lavanya Gupta. Hi,
Hello.
Lavanya.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing good. So to kick things off, can you just introduce yourself and share how you got into, NLP, natural language processing, and AI ML?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. I am Lavanya. I am currently working, as Biraj introduced, as a senior applied scientist at JP Morgan. Before joining JP Morgan, I think I was in the same boat as all of you. I did my undergrad back in India. And then I worked for a couple of years as a software engineer. And I slowly transitioned into, I started reading about ML, similar participating in hackathons. And this was but back in 2019, I would say. And then I decided to pursue my master's at Carnegie Mellon. And after completing my master's, I joined JP Morgan. And since then, I've been working with them. So yeah, I think that's a quick recap of my story.
Yeah, that's great. Now, आपका hackathons में काफी experience रहा है. So, I want to ask you कि how do you approach problem solving in AI, especially in
Mhm.
hackathons, especially when you are dealing with NLP based challenges in such a time crunch?
Yeah, I think the time I participated, उस time पे थोड़ा different था. I'm talking about hackathons which were conducted on Kaggle or Analytics India.
Yeah,
Um, they were about you're given a structured data set and you're supposed to build a model, get the topmost F1 score or accuracy, whatever is the metric. Versus if you talk about NLP right now, I think the world has changed a lot in the last 5 years.
yeah,
So now if you ask me what is the best way to go about dealing with a hackathon, it would definitely be start fast, start quick. So you have LLMs at your service which can do anything and everything for you. So my in my experience dealing with NLP hackathon specifically, I would advise that go ahead, pick any off the shelf LLM to start with, build fast, build prototypes as quickly as possible.
yeah,
It does not matter if you use the oldest model or if you use the newest model. The first thing to get is your pipeline in
yeah,
place. After that you can always switch the model itself, because these models are generalized enough and they take in similar inputs, so right.
yeah.
And I think rapid prototyping, start simple, benchmark your results, and of course after you have built something, I think something that is really crucial is also looking at your because we are talking about generative AI
Yeah.
hackathon, so it's really crucial to also look at your model responses and then quickly go back, prompt tune, things like that. Yeah.
Right. So any hackathon is a very time constrained environment, right? It's like a pressure cooker almost. And
Yes.
hackathons में उस scenario में it's very important to keep in mind कि अपने projects के जो छोटे छोटे nuances हैं हम उन पे भी concentrate करें.
Correct.
So in such a time constrained environment like a hackathon, how do you quickly build and also fine tune an NLP model while also ensuring good accuracy?
Correct. I think that's a great question because hackathons is a very different environment as compared to, academic research or industrial research.
Yeah.
Hackathons, as I said, you have to be on your toes. So in that time constrained environment, uh, usually I do not feel, as per my experience, I do not feel you would have the need to fine tune a model, uh, be- both because it's time constrained and resource constrained. So generally you would be good to go with anything off the shelf and a lot of prompt tuning, of course,
Yeah.
but that will save you a lot of time. Like going down the rabbit hole of fine tuning, it can definitely get you it is proven that it will get you benefits, but like looking for a high quality data, fine tuning your model, having access to GPUs, and then tuning the learning rate, hyperparameters, it's a lot of work. For
Yeah.
a hackathon, maybe you can devote some people who want to do that, get into that, but I truly feel that one team should be really hands on, do a basic prototype, get things working, shipped, and then, as I said, the model is a very replaceable part of the entire pipeline. So that would be my quick advice.
राइट, दैट्स अ ग्रेट पीस ऑफ एडवाइस. नाउ हैकाथॉन्स में ऐसा काफ़ी टाइम मैंने भी नोटिस किया है एज एन ऑर्गेनाइजर इन हैकाथॉन्स कि पीपल ऑफन ओवर इंजीनियर देयर प्रोजेक्ट, यू नो,
Hmm,
इनोवेट करते करते एक पॉइंट पे चले जाते हैं जहाँ पे इट्स टू मच, इट्स वेरी क्लटर्ड एंड इट डजंट लुक वेरी अपीलिंग. तो
exactly.
how do you balance between building an innovative AI solution while
Mhm.
also ensuring, you know, it's feasible within the given hackathon constraints?
Yeah. I don't think there is like a correct answer to this, but I'll just share my piece. What I feel around this is, I think the internet has a lot of, especially LinkedIn. Like, I spend the most amount of my time on LinkedIn
Yeah.
because, as you said, I just go deep into one thing, and then there are endless resources on the web. So,
Yeah.
picking up design patterns from people who are trusted people on LinkedIn is a great idea. They keep posting a lot of new architectures, and that is what I think is important in a NLP hackathon where you have multiple components, let's say like query rewriting or like summarization or things of that sort, right? So, coming up with like a good design pattern, that innovative design pattern that can that you can fit your design into is a nice thing, and you can easily get hold of this
Yeah.
from multiple resources on the web. And over engineer for sure, like have, I will just repeat myself, like have one team doing the very basic
Yeah.
benchmarking of your results, and then once you have that, you can always, the entire team can spend time to over engineer. Like you have all the creative liberty to over engineer your product if you want to do so. Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. That's a great point, actually. Now, hackathons में it's also very important to keep in mind कि data set को handle करना बहुत important होता है
Hmm.
whenever you're playing with the data set. So,
Yes.
what strategies do you use to find and, you know, pre-process quality data sets during a hackathon where time is very limited?
Yeah. The kind of hackathons I've dealt with, I think I've seen two types of hackathons. One is where you are already given the data set,
Yeah.
that was traditional ML, deep learning.
Yeah.
And it's obviously like a dev set that you are given, and then uske upar you have to build a model, and then your model is tested at the end against a test set. Versus abhi the world is thoda shifting towards more open-ended problem, where
हाँ.
you need to come up with your own data set. कैसे कौन सा डेटा सेट यूज करोगे, बेस्ड ऑन यू विल हैव सम हिंट्स अबाउट द प्रॉब्लम, बिजनेस प्रॉब्लम इटसेल्फ, बट द डेटा सेट इज लेफ्ट ऑन टू द टीम. Honestly, मतलब industry में we do not have this liberty to like look out for open source data sets, but at least in my academic experience I referred to papers with code a lot. They have really structured data sets, high quality data sets and structured, along with tags, metadata ki jo bhi chahiye you can look it up clearly. This is of course in addition to Kaggle. Kaggle is bread and butter for all data scientists, so that is another place. One thing that I thought I would share in this podcast would be artificialanalysis.ai.
Yeah.
It has recently come up. It's a startup. They are recently building up this website or this platform of their own, but we use it a lot in the industry. So they have it's a standard benchmark of all when it comes to कौन सा मॉडल मुझे लेना है. There are hundreds of model out there. तो कौन सा मुझे लेना है. तो
Yeah.
they have very nice standard benchmarks on popular data sets, and then you can filter, okay, अगर मुझे question answering बनाना है, या मुझे summarization बनाना है, या मुझे NER करना है, whatever, मुझे RAG बनाना है, तो there is like a list of I think 200-300 models. You can pick and select कि मुझे किसके बीच में comparison देखना है, and then you can compare it on individual data sets, on latency, on throughput, etc. So um, that kind of trusted, reliable source will also help you make decisions around your choice of model.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I didn't know about them actually. So thank you for sharing that information.
Yes.
नाउ हैकेथॉन्स में ऐसा तो कभी नहीं हो सकता कि हमारे पास कॉम्पिटिशनल पावर इज इनफिनिट, तो
Mm,
इनफैक्ट बहुत ही लिमिटेड होता है, राइट? तो
correct.
प्रोसेस करने में भी बहुत डिफिकल्टीज आती रहती हैं. सो उस सिचुएशन में हाउ डू यू हैंडल रियल टाइम एनएलपी inferences in hackathons where computational power is so limited?
Yeah. Um, I think there are multiple techniques. Like if you look it up, बहुत सारी चीजें हैं that you can do. But something that's top of my head, or I can say which are more popular in the industry, is quantizing your model.
Yeah,
You will lose very बहुत for a little dip in your performance metric. You gain a lot of inference time, or like lesser reduction in latency. So quantization is a no brainer if you're looking to deploy your model कोई भी तरीके से,
yeah,
also hackathons mein, I'm not sure if you're going to do like as a judging criteria, or you're going to do like a stress testing, or bombarding a lot of requests on the model. But in case if that is a criteria, then you can also look for serving on demand.
yeah,
All these cloud platforms, they have, it keeps changing, so I don't want to speak to what is like the best way to deploy right now. But you
yeah,
can always look up, like, you want to keep your model warm, or do you want to have a cold start, strategies around that, and that can be guided by the judging criteria itself.
yeah.
क्योंकि जो इंडस्ट्री में यूज होता है वो बहुत डिफरेंट है एज कम्पेयर टू एन हैकेथॉन. तो
हाँ,
इफ योर हैकेथॉन judge criteria is, okay, I want to serve itna requests, then you can manipulate your deployment architecture that way. um, Other things, quantization is I think the simplest.
yeah.
I'll have to think more on what else can be done, but I think these two are on top of my head. Yeah.
Yeah, for now that's great actually. So now hackathons may, given the rapid evolution of AI that is happening, AI
Yeah.
is evolving every single day. So hackathons may, how do you choose the right NLP framework or model in that
Mm.
kind of a scenario जहाँ पे आपको बहुत सारे फैक्टर्स का ध्यान रखना पड़ता है एक टाइम पे?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think usually in industry we call it that you don't want to be a slave to the framework.
Right.
So you frameworks are there to treat them as your servants. Don't be a servant to
Yeah.
them. So they are there to help you, but you are not constrained or bound by them. So best, I think sometimes the best way to go is just use a native implementation. But this is more about the recent agentic workflows that are coming up. But of course, I understand if you're building something from an LLM based. So OpenAI has a lot of. If you're using an OpenAI model, then you'll have to use their API because it's a closed source model.
Yeah.
If you're using Claude models, then you have to go the Anthropic route. So depending on model, that is one thing, like how you want to invoke the model itself. But when you're stitching the pipeline together, I truly believe like just going the native way is the best. It could be Java, it could be Python. Basically, the orchestration or stitching these components together.
Yeah.
Um, I think just going the native way, it keeps your life simple, gives you flexibility, visibility into what is happening. And as I said, what these frameworks are doing are essentially proposing some design patterns that we'll abstract this behind this method. So
Yeah.
just go and read what that method is doing, and if you feel it's easy enough to understand, go ahead. If you feel बहुत complicated है, just pick the bits of these open source frameworks and implement on your own. But if people are looking, because right now the trend is agentic workflows, if
Yeah.
people are looking to use frameworks like Crew AI or LangGraph, I would say like there are two spectrums, as I said. एक जो बहुत abstracted होगा, very easy to use, बस लो and stitch it somehow into your pipeline, versus something can be really complicated, the other spectrum, where you need to really understand, because it gives you so much flexibility. There will
Yeah.
be a lot of steps um, to set up or configure. So I think it depends on the team configuration also. But if it's a normalized team, I would suggest go the basic route, like stay away from frameworks if you can.
Right. Now, I want to talk a little bit about your experience at JP Morgan Chase. So,
Mhm.
according to you and your experience over there,
Mhm.
how is AI transforming the finance sector, and especially when it comes to NLP applications?
Mhm. Yeah, I think so. Very honestly, like the team I work in, or like just the ML organization that got set up, which is at an intersection of research and applied ML, it is not very old. It may be like
Yeah.
10, 15 years old vertical, versus there were always data analysts, data scientists. These kind of roles have existed for years now. So we are seeing a rapid boom in finance and AI. For sure, we are hiring at crazy paces. The team is exploding, to say. In terms of what is happening, I think within the finance sector, there are some key players that we have. So JP Morgan is definitely one of the biggest banks. It is the biggest bank in the US, but there are other trading firms or
Yeah.
investment banks also who are also doing a lot of good AI work. Um, the bread and butter is investment banking. So we have a lot of products who are ingesting tons of daily news feed articles, or just Twitter feeds and things like that, and making decisions about investing. That is the main crux from where the bank makes money. So investment, we have very complicated dashboards for investment bankers to use, which are coming. The NLP part of it is basically we are ingesting a lot of news articles, doing a lot of processing in real time on it, and then spitting out things that we feel can be beneficial to the banker to make decisions.
Yeah.
The other thing that another product that is really popular in the bank is something for the lawyers, or I'm not sure exactly, but basically people who deal with long documents, which can also have, just in addition to text, you can also have like lot of tables, figures, charts, multimodal aspect of things. So people don't want to spend time to, if someone is asking a question, they don't want to go through like 100-page document
Yeah.
and find one entry in the table and say, oh, this is the number that I was looking for. People want to move faster than that. So that is another thing that is coming up, because financial documents, tax filings, both in US and worldwide, everywhere, tax filing documents are huge. If there are a lot of legal requirements that go into it, so I want to be able to quickly verify that acha ye document sahi hai ki nahi, am I good to go to process it ahead, or can I extract out pieces of information. That is another thing that we are seeing a lot in our bank as well as our competitors. So yeah, I think news to make decisions, and then multimodal aspect. There's also there's also, because I'm not involved a lot in speech, but I know we have a huge speech team, very proficient, who are also doing, again, like customer
Yeah.
satisfaction, which is not unique to finance. I would say it also applies to all retail, commercial
Yeah.
companies as well, because tons of people are chatting, calling customer care, things like that. So you want to be able to have good quality transcription models, make, again, satisfy user requirements, those kind of things. So yeah, speech is another thing where it is closely tied to NLPs. That's why I
Yeah.
brought it up. because once you transcribe, it goes into a similar pipeline as NLP. So yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about your experience in this field a little bit. So I'm sure when you were in college, you had an an idea of how this world would look, how this part of the world would look, right? And I'm sure that has evolved over time as you have moved on into your professional life. So I
Yes.
want to know, how was the transition period? How did your mindset change during that transition period, and where is it right now?
Yeah, no, that's great. I think that would really sum up what I've been trying to talk about in this session. So,
Yeah.
yeah, as I was saying, like I also started out as software engineer. When I graduated in 2016, there was hardly anything about ML. We had like one course in my undergrad. वो भी मैंने नहीं लिया था, तो I had no idea. After I joined, I was working with HSBC back then. There was some things that started coming up around. This is 2016. So उस time पे ImageNet was the main thing. Like image computer vision models were the main thing that time. And proper deep learning आर्किटेक्चर्स की कितना लेयर लगाना है, कैसे फाइन ट्यून, नॉट इवन फाइन ट्यून, कैसे ट्रेन करना है मॉडल को, बैक प्रॉप कैसे होता है, ऑल ऑफ दीज थिंग्स. सो आई जस्ट गॉट इंटरेस्टेड इन दैट, एंड दैट टाइम वही दुनिया लगती थी, बिकॉज यू आर नॉट इनोवेटिंग एनीथिंग. सो वट एवर इज एट योर प्लेट, यू फील ओके, दिस इज इट. If I master this, I'm good.
Yeah.
I can do something better than this, but it will take me time to master this. But the world is moving at such a strong pace. As I was trying to catch up with the computer vision domain of things, I started hearing about these LLMs, and then people using, उस time पे तो deep neural network से ही लोग
हाँ.
NER या CRF LSTMs use करते थे. उस time पे वही चलता था. तो I started hearing about this, and once I transitioned into an ML role, I realized that what we are doing is very, not up to the mark, as up to the mark to what the world is moving at. And
Right.
that's where, that was the tipping point where I realized maybe I need to do, skill up, or I need to do something more other than just, either I spend some time working on myself and
Yeah.
being in a really good place to upskill in ML, or I take a smarter route, do my masters, and then try to be try to match up to the pace that the world is moving at. Both are equivalent options.
Yeah.
Maybe at that point I was just fascinated by what was going on in, outside the world, outside my company. So I decided to do that, and after that, as you said, like going to my masters at Carnegie Mellon, that really opened up a lot of doors.
Yeah.
You actually are sitting amongst the best brains in the world. So um, I don't know how to, like, how to say what I experienced. Like my world of ML and AI actually changed after going there. Until then, I was thinking, okay, maybe if I do XYZ, I'm good to go. But only after I went there and I realized there are so many things in this field, and you
Yeah.
don't need to know it all. You just need to pick one thing that makes you happy, that makes you satisfied, that you are at peace with yourself. So at that time, even when I went for my masters, there were options to do either computer vision, robotics, reinforcement learning, or optimization, probabilistic something. Lots of options, tons of options. So yeah, I think the worldview changes based on what you pick. So now I'm deep into NLP, so my worldview is kind of shallow to NLP. But
Yeah.
if you talk to someone else who is into some other field, they would have a different worldview of how this field is, progressing.
राइट. तो आई एम श्योर आपने जब अपना प्रोफेशनल करियर ज्वाइन किया ऑफिशियली, तो
Mhm.
यू must have had a lot of problems initially, a lot of hurdles, a lot of challenges. So during that process, what was your process for selecting the right ML model for
Mhm.
uh, any of the given NLP tasks that you were assigned at that time?
Yeah, I think in my academic experience, we really did not work with a lot. I mean, yeah, in the projects we did work with off the shelf models, but our assignments were to the core, implementing everything on our own, like taking literally neurons and putting them together in that architecture that they exist in the model. But yeah, apart from that, how did we make a choice of models? um, Honestly, I really feel that we used to pick out, like, if you read about anything vision or NLP, usually these models fall into some category or family of models.
Yeah.
I can speak to NLP. So in NLP earlier, for simpler problems, people just go ahead with encoder only models if you have like a classification problem or if you have a NER problem, versus then there was a shift towards encoder and decoder models, where you given a large text and then come out with a smaller output, like summarization of text or like whatever different tasks that you can do with T5 encoder decoder models. And
Yeah.
now the world is moving towards decoder only models. So I think it's very important to understand, even in our interviews we ask this a lot of times, that um, आज की दुनिया में everyone is just picking out something from the LLM domain,
Yeah.
which are only decoder only models usually, and building with that. They give you great performance, etc., etc. But if you really go into the industry or try to do something like that, honestly, the industry is still, a lot of industry is still at encoder only models,
Yeah.
especially finance and sensitive domains like ours. um, because it is safe, it is convenient, you don't want to experiment and go to new models. They bring their own, they come with their own problems of hallucinations, etc., variance. So when you are picking out the model, it's really important to understand firstly how these models are organized into different families. You don't want to just go out there and try model 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4. Pick intelligently, like read up what are the pros and cons of different models, and based on your problem, as I said, like encoder models still beat the LLMs at, not LLMs but decoder only models at simpler tasks. They
Yeah.
come cheaper, they are easy to deploy, high quality, etc., etc. And if you present this kind of finding to your whoever, your judge or your interviewer, whoever, your manager, it really shows that you have done the work to understand how how this world of LLMs is organized, and that you really understand the crux of it. So having a justification behind your choice of model, I think, is crucial, and it's also going to give you the benefit. So if you have to ask me how I pick models, I think I first study these different families that exist. uh, बहुत सारे architectures are common, there's only like some things that these models change, right? तो understand कि क्या है, and then of course make a choice from different families, pick one from each, and usually you would see some variance between all of these, and then within that family then you can make a decision based on your cost, requirements, budget, or time constraints, right? I think that would be a good strategy to pick your models.
Right. So coming back to hackathons for a while, so I'm sure in your hackathon experience आपने आपने काफी सारे AI ML based projects देखे होंगे, NLP based projects देखे होंगे. तो I want to know कि what did you think were some of the common mistakes that people are making while building these projects, especially in an environment like a hackathon?
Yeah, I think one problem that I also suffered once when I started out, or you also pointed out, was over engineering.
Yeah.
Like aiming for कि अच्छा highest कुछ करना है, ऐसा कुछ.
Yeah.
I can also speak to, because the hackathons at my time were also a lot on structured data,
Yeah.
like traditional ML. So overfitting to your dev sets, or even at my masters, we used to have these assignments. So Kaggle competition similar. So like over engineering it कि अच्छा मुझे highest accuracy लाना है, but you lose the track that okay, maybe I'm overfitting my model to this dev set, right? Once the hackathon opens and you are tested on the test leaderboard, you may fall really badly if you are not taking into consideration things to generalize, and then actually looking at model mistakes and being okay with if there's a pattern in the model mistakes, you don't need to go and fix every mistake, because that is what is overfitting. So
Yeah.
um, in the traditional ML scope, I think that is one thing to be really careful about. I have made that mistake कि मुझे फर्स्ट आना है, तो उस चक्कर में you do everything to ace that leaderboard. um, Other thing, common mistake would be, let's see, I think in the NLP domain, I think choice of model is another thing, like picking the best model. Like one of the hackathons that we did in our company was also justifying the cost. So like coming up with an estimate कि अगर हमने ये deploy किया actual use case में, so we had to come up with some numbers. So even if the solution was whatever x points better than the second best solution, you have to be able to justify the cost कि क्यों मुझे इतना जीपीयू चाहिए, क्यों मुझे इतने सर्वर्स चाहिए, right? um, that will again depend on the criteria of judging, but
Yeah.
that is one mistake that people do, like because hackathon is really competitive and technical environment, but sometimes the judges also are looking for business justification. And
Yeah.
even if it's like at a college level, right? The judges do want to understand why did you use this, not ki maine use kar liya. That is another mistake. Always think about a why of why you are using it, back it up with a good justification.
So now, in your professional as well as your academic career, I'm sure you've
Mhm.
had uh, a plenty of milestones you've achieved, and you have a lot of success stories. So I want to know key. I actually want to know one such specific, memorable success story where NLP made a real impact in one of your projects, and that really meant a lot to you.
Yeah, I think that's great. Let me think about it.
Yeah.
um yeah, I think so. Between the time I resigned from my last job in India and I joined my master's program, there was like some time in between that I was just using to cool off, prepare myself for the next stage in my life.
Yeah.
In During that time, I was looking for just volunteer opportunities, just to basically use my time wisely,
Yeah.
have like some things on my plate to work with or play around with. And as I said, that time LLMs was just booming. This is again 2020s. So I met like a startup founder. He was like a sole person, trying to do something early in India. Basically, the product that he was trying to build was, right now it sounds a little trivial and common, but at that time he was really passionate about having to be able to create automatic assessments, or like questions, q and MCQ questions, or long descriptive questions, short
Yeah.
questions for school textbooks. So imagine like math, not math, actually we were dealing with text, so it was science, geography, political science, etc., subjects like those for high school
Right.
students. um, I thought, okay, this is not like such a big problem. Let me just help him. Why is this, such a thing that is taking him so much time? Let me just ask him like if I can help him in some way. Only after I delved into the problem, I realized things look really easy at surface level, but looks okay. Oh, feed this text into the model, ask it to generate 10 questions. But if you really want high quality outputs, we were using techniques as old as something that was developed in like 1950s or like 1900s. um, Only because we wanted to ensure that not everything needs to go through an LLM call. It is
Yeah.
expensive. um, he was a single person who was budgeting this on his own, right? We had no funding. So why does everything need to go through an LLM? There's It's not that the world did not exist before LLMs came in.
Yeah.
There were a lot of not frameworks, there were a lot of techniques that people were using, which did not cost anything other than just serving.
Yeah.
But frameworks like simplest frameworks like or libraries like NLTK, spacey. These are very powerful, and these were doing a lot of good job, before the world got inundated into LLM. So we used like a lot of traditional techniques, and we tried to actively minimize LLM calls, and that's where I realized that a lot of power also resides in traditional tools. It's just like coming up with good combination of how you want, like things that do not need an LLM call,
Yeah.
get off it, use traditional tools that you have. And that was a really good success story for me, because it was just me and him working extremely closely, hands on together on hours on the same call. And then because in India we did not have so many contacts, so we had 2 3 clients in UK and Europe, so
Yeah.
we were working with them to show our product to them. And the kind of feedback and success, just good things that we got to hear about it. We also had some mentors to with whom we used to discuss our pipeline, and they also really appreciated our work, or at least the thought that went into designing the entire pipeline, that you start from a dump of text. Not everything is an LLM. There are
Yeah.
smaller components, and at the end, you end up with high quality MCQ generation, or whatever, question answer generation.
Yeah.
So for me personally, that is, I treat that as a success story for me, only because I got to know a lot about the field itself, and I think that was like the perfect step into academic come industrial experience.
Right. That was a great story. Thank you for sharing it with me. Now, finally, I would like to ask you I would like to ask you for an advice for all of the participants who are going to come for ASAC 4.0. You know, and a hackathon is not just about building a project and showing it to people. It has a lot of other components that people often overlook, often tend to overlook. I won't say everybody overlooks that. Often people tend to overlook that. So what would your advice be to all of our participants, to uh, enjoy the hackathon and really get the full vibe of the hackathon while they are here?
Yeah. For me, I think my earliest hackathon, I don't think I participated any in undergrad, unfortunately, only because of the same reason that you said. I thought it is a lot of pressure. I don't
Mhm.
want to do it. But I realized its value when I went into the industry. And in industry, it's of course taken as a little more chill
Yeah.
experience. कि इतना pressure नहीं है. But there is still pressure. So, although there is pressure, it's like a good pressure that you want to have, right? You are with your friends, you are with your teammates. It's the most engaging environment that you can have without any barriers, or like कि कुछ hesitation नहीं है. If you don't know, just ask. So I think that's like a really nice, for me, I built a lot of my strong relationships, both friends and then mentors, managers, through that hackathon,
Yeah.
multiple hackathons in that journey. So very good, as you said, कि बहुत other components होते हैं, तो relationship building is a really nice component to it. And other than that, learning, I feel crazy learning steep curve, right?
Yeah.
We talked about a lot of frameworks. We talked about techniques that you would usually not use, like these traditional tools that I was saying. Maybe in your academic experience, yeah, project, school assignments, you won't get a chance to delve really deep into this and see the power of these tools.
Yeah.
But hackathon is the place that will give you the complete liberty, and it is different from working on your personal project, which no one cares about.
Yeah.
If you come and tell me कि मैंने weekend पे ये बनाया, ठीक है, I'll just have a look. But if you're a part of hackathon, and if you come and tell me कि मैंने ये बनाया, there are hundreds of eyes looking at it, interested in it,
Yeah.
giving you all kinds of positive and critical feedback. So I feel that is also really really a nice platform. And sometimes people just blow everyone's mind. They come up with something so new. You never know if you have like judges coming from the industry or whatever. If you catch someone's attention, or if you are, if you have done something really good, it might be professor or whoever, you stand out in the crowd. So
Yeah.
uh, that is another way to shine in the hackathon. So yeah, and I recently heard about you guys taking it on topping it a notch level above and making it like trying to make it definitely like a biggest student organized
Yeah,
hackathon of India.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm sure like you guys are doing a great job. So kudos to that, and I'm sure people are going to have a lot of eyes onto it as to what is going to come out of it.
Yeah, and thank you very much for all of your wonderful insights regarding AI, ML, NLP, and hackathons in general. It was a wonderful experience hosting you and having you on our podcast. So thank you for taking out the time and thank you for talking to us. I hope you had a good time talking to us.
Yeah, likewise. It was a great chat, and you did make me think, took me back to my days, and then made me think a lot more about, the things that I've done or just some recollection of memories. So it's always nice to revisit them.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you so much, everyone, for watching this episode of Hacker TV. We'll see you on the next episode. Until then, stay tuned, stay connected, and keep hacking. Bye.
Bye.